Alright, so just thought I'd do a bit of a catch-up overview, review if you will, of 15 months on ownership of my e-bike. It's the 2022 model Merida eOne 6500 in the silk green, and a little bit under 3,000 kilometres now on the odometer. Again, being an e-bike, you get the odometer. If you look at it, you'll see scratches and marks and all sorts of pings here, there and everywhere, because I've done a lot of crash testing myself, as some of the videos will show, and just sort of talk about some of the upgrades we've done, working with different gurus in different shops around Melbourne. So originally purchased the bike from 99 Bikes, and that had the service plan for a year, which was definitely used very well. Been riding all over the Melbourne area and some of the expansions. So Yuyangs, Inner City, Kinglake, Harcourt, Creswick now a couple of times up there, Lilydale, Listerfields, in a suburban city, all over the place. And yeah, it's been going pretty fantastic. Gone through a few few cassettes, ups and downs and all sorts of bits and pieces, but overall just absolutely awesome. Yeah, a lot of bouncing around. Started to see the new ranges come out. So the 2025 models are coming out. We've got the, I think in this version it'll be the eOne 675, and it refers to the battery wattage being 675 over the 630 that this bike comes with. Different style of motor. I believe they've gone to the Bosch in some of them, or Shimano, but again, not talking so much about those bikes, more the reason here today with what I've got in front of you. And as far as that's concerned, had a look around and thought, okay, what are the options to get better skills, and as I sort of get better at using the bike. Also completely trashed the back rim, big case, and double damaged it. Not this one, we'll get into that. So yeah, started exploring, looking around with the new models. The shock's actually coming down on an angle here instead of the on the vertical at the rear, and different componentry used. So I started getting out there, seeing what's around, and to that end, I was working with Carlos and Fergus at 99 Bikes Fitzroy just to confirm what I could and couldn't do for this bike and what'll fit. As far as offsets at the front, it's I think it's a 51 instead of a 44 or 42, and just all sorts of learnings, lots of learnings. Then ended up out at Yarra Valley Cycles, pretty random. I was chasing the front fork and the rear shock. Rear shock was through a random guy called Tom. Turns out he's part of Yarra Cycles, so that hooked me up. It's the Fox X2 or Float X2, and with Kashima coat, and that is just fantastic. So the guys at Ivanhoe Cycles actually fitted it up for me. It needs some different spaces and bits and pieces, but again, getting good componentry, good gear, you can do. Yeah, it'll fit up to different bikes, and again, still the 150mm length, but lots of adjustment and options there. Front end with the fork, Fox 38, factory Kashima coat again. Now that and the dropper post both picked up from Yarra Valley Cycles. They'd already modified it to a 170, so it's gone into slack life, and we've got the 170 front travel and 100mm of dropper post there, which is just, it works really well. And for me, it seems fine. Moving forward when I try other bikes and things, we'll see how we go. But for now, it's on point. Front went with a DT Swiss. Tried to order both DC Swiss front and rear. Unfortunately, we had some issues trying to get in the rear. So the front we have the M1900 or 1100. I'm not sure how it's supposed to be presented, but yeah, great bit of kit so far, working really nice, and still got the Maxxis Assegai front tyre. Quite happy with the Fox. I did reach out and get the Extend or the XL front guard. It's not quite as long, but more width than the guards I was using before, which they had about 8,000 Ks and still banging along, and I am using those on my EQ. On the rear, anyway, for whatever reason, lots of glitches in the matrix trying to get access to the DT Swiss 27.5 with the mullet setup. Carlos hooked me up, and we've got a Raceface full carbon system on the back, massive, big and chunky. That came with a 12-speed cassette, so actually been changed out some parts at the front as well, so we've gone from an 11 to a 12. And dialed in quite nicely. Again, when I've had crashes and experiences and all sorts of stuff, you can just drop into some of the 99 bikes. Not trying to This is not a sale for them, I'm not sponsored, just one of the bonuses is there's lots of different shops. So you know, the grips I got from, I'll get into that in a second, but you know, the grips I was able to get from Brunswick. What are they called? I do apologise, got the Raised Bicycle in Brunswick. Helped me out with some bits and pieces, and you know, Ivanhoe, Yarra Valley, all over the place. The seat's actually a replacement, cased it, flattened it, and the bike shop out at South Marine, I think it was. And again, apologies for not having the name off the top of my head. But yeah, able to get in there, grab it, swapped it out, off we go. Still rocking the Velcro at the front in case, hopefully not, but the batteries, you know, it's been really dialed in by the bike mechanics. So the battery hardly moves, which is fantastic, but it's just a cautionary option. Plus, if things go wrong, a bit of Velcro strapping can go a long way to help you when you've, you know, things you need to do. I did need to move the bike cage up one step. It was catching the bottom of the shock, which actually knocked out the adjustment lever. So when you're putting it onto you know, hard and soft for uphill, downhill, and variations on what you're doing, again, not a suspension guru, so I'm still coming to speed with all of this. But yeah, that was actually when in full compression, the bottom of the water bottle was hitting and knocking it across, and so yeah, not great. You don't want, I mean, you know, not great having things changing when you're going on the course. There'll be some other footage kicking around, and we're did a complete 360. So overall, handled really well. Colour changes. So on the back wall there, you can see the purple and the green. I had a green set up, went to purple for something different, and again, not wasting money, because if and when I damage something, I can swap it out. And I work different hours, different people have different experiences, so availability of parts and things can be a bit tricky these days. It's just one of those things. So not wasting the money, just getting parts that work and use them for a period of time. So, and I'm not going to throw them out. Yes, they're a bit dinged up, but yeah, it's a bit of a passion. So I've gone with the orange. We've got the, was it RYFE, Rife perhaps? Pedals, trying those out. Haven't had them before, only just put them on recently. So the colour, you know, a bit of a colour theme. We've got the green, the cashmere, then you've got the orange for the fox, and then the caps are blue, so I've gone with blue hand grips. And yeah, just a bit of bling for a bit of fun. We'll see how that plays out when we're, you know, bouncing around the trails. Weight-wise, it's around, the newer bikes are about 1 kilogram to 1.5 kilos heavier than what this is, but they do have a bigger battery. To that end, that's the battery, so that's the 630 that came in this bike, or comes in this bike. I do take it out when I'm putting it up on the stand, and you can sort of, you know, give it a bit of a dust in there if you need to, and also it's less, you know, it's roughly, I think it's about 3.5 kilograms less weight, or right, yeah, 3.4, something like that, when it's up on the stand. So it's just, you know, easy to light and work on and service yourself, not using some sort of hydraulic stand, and just comfortable and happy with it. The Fox front little mini mudguard I actually use at the back, and so far so good. I'm still going to get mud and dirt on me, and that's the way it is. I've got a Continental Cryptoidal on the rear. Again, Carlos, shout out, hooked me up. He said it's, in his experience, a really good tyre for the wet. It was available, we put it on, given it a go, so, you know, a bit of a win there. If you notice on the shock, you've got it down there. So I did have a recent fairly big 360 forward crashy thing, I guess you'd call it, at Plenty Gorge. So yeah, bounced around on that one, but put a little bit more in the rear shock. I don't think it was suspension related. It was more my skill set, soft dirt, and just, you know, learning skills, learning to crash and test, and you know, do your own stunts, as it were. So that's all part of the fun and games. I do carry have a second battery for this, and to that end, I've got a mount on the front, which is Blackburn's, the mod, and they do a, we've got it here actually, it's, they do a bracket that mounts up on the front handlebars there, and, or potentially can have it elsewhere on the frame or the system designing. It clips onto the back. I will do a bit more of a review on this, and you can strap it in, Velcro, you get the bag, like that, which waterproof when it's sealed up correctly, at least very close to waterproof. And I'll say that because it's, I wouldn't want to be quoted where, you know, you put your bike into a creek and it's underwater and the water gets in, and, you know, these are realities, things going to go wrong. But overall, really good bit of kit. It is weight loaded. There is a weight rating on it. Off the top of my head, I don't have that, hence the review later. But essentially, I can put a spare battery into I put it in like a pillowcase actually, so it protects the sharpish edges on the bag from waterproof bag, a few other bits and pieces in there, and then I've got a second bag on second battery on the handlebars for bigger touring if I'm going, say, on a train ride up in the country, and at that point I may want to just stash the battery somewhere or take it off if I'm in a jump park and bounce around, and so you haven't got all that weight on you on the bike, and then you do your own, you have a play and then you put it back on, or a couple of hours in, swap out the battery. You do get, I'm saying a lot, but hey, skill set, I'm not a guru. With respect to the batteries, 2 to 3 hours, I comfortably around 2.5 hours, 30 to 33 kilometers with really gnarly uphills and downhills. Finding myself now with the bike, working on getting you can see the angle there, it's just kicked up a little bit to jam it in that upper position, but yeah, we'll try and test it, may go for a smaller water bottle. With the battery, what I'm finding now is I try to turn the motor off. So you've got the 5 settings, if you will. You've got, if you go with 5, you've got turbo at the top, you've got trail, eco, then off or 0, so that's just your lights and your little machine telling you the odometer and speed and stuff, and then at the bottom you can punch it down and get walking mode, and that's awesome. So if you're going up staircases, gnarly bits of track, or if you just really wrecked because you've had a big off and you want to just walk the bike a little bit, you pop it into that, 3 to 4 Ks, you can actually regulate you. So yeah, you just end up controlling, just not sort of pushing and going hard with the adrenaline. You go, oh, hang on, I'll just work with the bike's pace. So bit of a bonus there, or a side effect on that one. If I'm in the different modes, then it's going to depend on how much power you're using. But again, on the downhill, what I'm finding is I'll put it into that middle mode, or sorry, second from the bottom, which is no assistance from the motor, and just get more familiar with pedaling. So at the 25k, because it's, I believe you can jailbreak or decode the motors or whatever the case may, or the software to go assistance more than 25 k's. I'll leave it with the the legal factory setting here. The American one's 32 kilometers, I think, which would be pretty awesome. But again, you use the battery high, but it works pretty well for what we're doing. Again, in that 0 mode, downhill, you're pedaling, you're not getting that sort of extra weight, or like you're hitting a big wind gush or something coming into you, like you've just come around a corner or something, and that assists you with just regulating. Go over jump, you want to do a couple of cranks and get the right speed for the next jump or the double. Again, some places they're mostly tabletops, it's fun. If there's big gaps, you've got the heavier weight of the bike, so it's not as easy to lift up or pull up. If you're sporting injuries or you're getting into it, these are all things that can play a factor in it. But overall, all round, just kicking goals. If anything, it's my preservation of life that's limiting my skill sets. So sometimes it's just a case of committing, or alternatively, if I'm out with a couple of crew, you can sort of follow them in and just go, oh, hang on, that's what we need to do. That speed, hit the jumps, clear the jumps. Lots of good information out there. Just trying to think what else there is. So yeah, upgraded those parts. I think it was $11.49 for the front 170 forks. That's not the sum in, I think, new. They're about $2,100. Like, they are pretty hardcore front forks. And again, as some gear, either they're discounted for whatever reason, they're clearing out, or superseded, you can get some good deals. And then with respect to the back one here, also, I got that through Facebook Marketplace, turned out to be a mechanic from the shop, so that was really cool. And yeah, one of the lights has just dropped out, but that's all part of the experience here at figuring out how to do it yourself. And the dropper post also, there was limits. This design limits how far down into the frame you can actually go. So again, different frame designs for the new models will give you slightly more battery on the stock battery, different I think they're running a Mazzocchi front fork and rear shock as the base entry level now. I'm not sure off the top of my head what the exact base is. I'm still getting familiar with the new range, but again, it's not a review of Merida bikes across the board. It's just what I have here and what I'm working with. Yeah, that's about it. Still working on a rear red light for night riding when I get caught out. The front lights are fantastic illumination. I've done downhills with just that, so like Cressy at Uyang's at After Dark. Slower, a lot slower. You've got so many kangaroos and all sorts of stuff out there. And then working out, there are some mounts that you can go on the back seat for a rear light, but that's not kind of what I'm looking for. In the sense of I don't want to damage them. I did have just a clip-on one here, but the last big off, it looks like it bounced. I didn't pick up on that, so yeah, we'll get back out there at some point and grab it. Yeah, Dior rear set with the 12 speeds. The Raceface hub is just huge, and the noise, if I bring it out here, just magical. So yeah, I should probably, there we go. Tubeless cush core or crush core, I should know that as well. But yeah, and again they come with the green valve stem, so fantastic, nice and color coordinated. Places out there do have different options there when it comes to the, it doesn't want to stop, it's just so good at bearings. I believe ceramic, but again, just mad. Well, I think that's about it. That's the bike. Yeah, just getting back out there and bouncing around with it. So essentially, yeah, there are options. The bikes are already out, and you can still pick these up for several $1,000s less than the newest ones, because of course everything comes down. There are second-hand models out there that you can get and work on. A range of shops that do carry Merida or are familiar with them, so there's no big issue there when it comes to cleaning and tweaking the bikes up or putting them all back together. Just good maintenance, good experiences. And as you can see, it's dusty and dirty, and yeah, game on, get after it. Alrighty, cheers.